Good morning, Honorable Abdon Siasari.
Good morning, Bernard.
I suspect
good morning to your listeners as well.
I suspect you are the first female to head the Public Accounts Committee, so congratulations are in order.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Let's come to the budget. As you start listening to your colleague Atu Forson, what were your main reactions as a former finance deputy and minister of state listening to him? What were your main, maybe top 2 or 3 reactions to the budget?
Okay. Thank you very much, Bernard. Bernard, in the first days, I had certain expectations, and one, for them to deliver on their word as to the taxes that they were going to abolish, and 2, to also make sure that the outstanding infrastructure projects are well funded, or there's a plan to complete these projects, because it's public finance, public funds that we have invested in these projects. And also 3, to make sure that 1, the confidence that the economy has regained is sustained, and make sure that we provide that enabling environment for the private sector to do all the heavy lifting, so that we can lift most of government expenditure and give it to the private sector, especially when it comes to employment. When you look at the employment and the compensations budget alone, it tells you how much government is spending on less than 1 million employees. So I was hoping that we will create that enabling environment for the private sector to lift that burden of government. But to be honest with you, I did not see those things in the budget. 1, yes, they did take out certain taxes, or they are planning on bringing the amendment to Parliament for certain taxes to be abolished. He mentioned the COVID levy. He mentioned the e-levy. But what they are replacing it with is not sustainable. The e-levy and the COVID levy alone, when you look in their budget, gave Ghana 4.7 billion in 2024. And then here you are providing a revenue handle that is giving a replacement that is giving 3.8 billion. And even that is not sustainable. That replacement is not sustainable. So that if you are taking these tax handles that provide us with a substantial amount of revenue, you should also bring in something that is sustainable, something that is reliable, that consistently you can be able to take in some money to help build the nation. And 2, I also, like I said, I also didn't see any funding being allocated to the Agenda 111. Bernard, these are public financing that we have invested in these projects. And so we are not saying that in one financial year complete all the Agenda 111 projects. That is not possible. But at least come up with a plan that will tell us that in 2025, I am committing 100, 200 million to completing 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. We did not see anything like that. But rather, we saw, government taking out all the annual budget funding amounts, that's the oil revenue, and putting it into the big push. The big push was given about 13.7 billion Ghana cedis. They claim it's a $10 billion project, and you have begun with just 800 million. Within 4 years, how are they going to fulfill this promise? So I see much like plenty talk, but the actual funding or the thing to back this talk to make it a reality is not there.
So you made reference to 2 things: that you didn't see enough relief for the private sector,
yes,
and then you're talking about the Agenda 111. What if they say to you that the private sector will benefit from at least 4 tax reliefs, which you yourself mentioned? And in fact, before the budget, a lot of your colleagues were saying the government should stick to its promise of removing taxes and not introduce any new tax. And with the exception of the Ghana growth levy, which was adjusted for which was adjusted for extractive companies, you can say that no new taxes were introduced. So generally speaking, they can argue that they have not worsened the condition for private sector.
Bernard, you mentioned the extractive industry. Go and check that tax handle, what it gave Ghana in 2024. We were hoping to collect about 1.1 billion in that area, but we were only able to raise 821 million Ghana cedis, telling you that they are even struggling to pay the 1%, let alone add 200 basis points more, 3%. They are struggling to pay the 1%. So that if you increase it to 3%, you are for them. So you cannot say that, and they haven't introduced it. And Bernard, also with the same growth and sustainability levy, the sunset clause was that it was going to end in 2025, but now it's been extended to 2028. So no one can tell us that they did not introduce any new taxes. What we are saying is that, look here, you want to cut or reduce expenditure drastically. Let the private sector help you. And in letting the private sector help you, put in incentives that will help them to come on board so that they will do the heavy lifting. And government, based on the revenues that they raise, they can live within their means. Now we have financing of about 56 billion Ghana cedis. If you had pushed some of the benefits to the private sector, clearly government would have, reduce expenditure drastically in the long term or in the medium term. But we did not see anything like that. So all we are saying is that we have invested so much in infrastructure. Let us not waste it.
Well, they said that they were going to cut some.
I was happy when they said they were going to partner the private sector to have this thing done, do a PPP. But there was no mention of that in the budget. So clearly, it's just mere talk, because the policy to back the talk is absent. I was happy when they said they were going to partner the private sector, but we haven't seen anything like that in the budget. And the budget is the policy statement of this government for 2025.
The other thing I heard the Minister of Finance say was that the tax refund account would be recalibrated, and that the savings made there would be enough to offset the lost revenue from the tax cuts. And
that is what I just mentioned to you, that is 3.8 billion Ghana cedis. The lost revenue from the budget that was presented yesterday, the actual figures that we got for COVID-19 levy and e-levy is 4.7 billion Ghana cedis. You go to Appendix 2C, you see it there. 4.7 billion Ghana cedis. So that if you tell us that you have raised in 3.8 million, what happens to almost $1 billion? So there's a shortfall. And
no, but the COVID hasn't gone yet. The COVID hasn't gone yet because on the COVID, because the COVID is part of the VAT, he's saying that for the VAT, they would need a team to recalibrate the whole VAT, after which the COVID 1% will go. So the money will still be coming.
But eventually, it will happen. What I'm saying is that let's get a more sustainable way of replacing these taxes. That's all I'm saying. So that in the end, you don't create a huge gap and then increase your deficit. Because we are all concerned. This is our nation. And we have to make sure we all help to put things right. So what I'm saying is that let us get a sustainable revenue handle. So that consistently, you know that as I am taking this off, I am replacing it with this or that. And I also saw that they want to use efficient tax administrative measures to also increase revenue. That is a good idea, but I hope it will not be mere talk, that we will put our feet to the ground and make sure it happens, and rake in all the informal sector people who are making so much money but are not on the tax net. With this one, I hope and pray that we all join hands and make sure this happens, because there's a lot out there that we can bring on board to make sure we close that gap without necessarily introducing new taxes or extending taxes that should be taken off.
Now, I'm sure you will commend the uncapping of the GET fund and the other earmark funds like the health insurance fund, or would you support that as a good idea to free up more money to finance free SHS and also health infrastructure?
Bernard, when I always say that it's because maybe we haven't explained very well what we use the capped revenue for. The capped revenue, which is also part of public funds, is put in the consolidated fund and then used to also fund other equally important things. consistently, we use the CAP revenue to support goods and services of the government. We also use some of the part of the CAP revenue to pay for compensation. So it's not like we cap it and then we don't know what we use it for. We put it back in the consolidated fund and then use it for other equally important things. So it's neither here nor there. All we are saying is that whatever monies that are given to them, if they use it efficiently, they will see results. And and government cannot also say that the uncapped get fund is what they are going to use to fund free SHS, because when you look at the Get Fund Act, it does not. It's more of infrastructure, and free SHS is more of goods and services, because you need to pay for books, you need to pay for food. So it's more of consumption. Such that if you tell us that you are uncapping Get Fund and you are going to use that Get Fund money to pay for free SHS, it's neither here nor there.
Okay.
We were using oil revenue to pay, but when you look at the 2025 budget, every expenditure that we made with oil revenue in 2024 has been taken off, and all the oil revenue have been channeled into the big push. Meanwhile, we don't know exactly what the big push involves.
Okay.
All the oil revenue coming to the 2025, coming to us in 2025, have been put under the oil revenue, the big push. But we don't know exactly what the big push is and what it entails.
Let me. You've raised a number of questions, and I think it's important for me to bring your colleague, who is going to take over from your former position, because you were deputy minister before you became minister of state. He has been vetted. I suspect he's been approved, and I'm sure he's yet to be sworn in, but he can speak nonetheless. So if you can stay on there, let me talk to Honorable Thomas Ampem-Nyakun, who is the MP for Esojaman and the incoming Deputy Minister of Finance. Honorable, thanks for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning.
Wonderful. Before I come to my substantive questions, your opposite number raised a number of points, and I'll summarize it this way. She says, number one, whilst the tax reliefs may be good, she doesn't see any new measures that will offset the lost revenue. And she says that if you look at the amount of money you will lose in those tax reliefs of about 4-point-something billion, from the budget she had, she thinks there will still be some outstanding 1 billion that you have to find. That's her first point. Her second point has to do with private sector, that the growth levy that you have increased and changed the sunset clause for the extractives is not good, because that's where most of your revenue is coming from. So why are you taxing those guys? So those are my first two questions. What's your reaction to those points?
Thank you. And let me say a very good morning to my dear friend and fellow Presbyterian, Abena Asare. I have heard her struggling to condemn a budget that has been widely accepted by Ghanaians. Oh, yes, you are trying to criticize it, but you see, if Ghanaians watched your demeanor in the chamber and everything, they knew that you were shocked that, hey, could somebody bring such a wonderful budget in Ghana today? And I was, the whole time I was looking at you, and I saw how you admired your own friend Atoforsen for the wonderful ideas you brought out. But Bernard, it is true that we are delivering on our promises. President Mahama made a number of promises, including the removal of these taxes. And so far, he hasn't disappointed Ghanaians. He has committed to remove them. The taxes that we have removed, in fact, if you look at the yield of the betting tax and then the e-levy, it comes to about 2 billion. We have said that we are making up this difference with the reduction in the tax refund that has been abused over the years. And this is a very important point that we have made, that we looked at the utilization of the tax refund account, funds from the tax refund account over the last 8 years. And on average, it is only 43% of the amount accrued that go into the actual reason for that account. That goes into tax refund. The rest of it is abused, it's misapplied, it's used for something else. And so the minister says that, look, let us put back. And in fact, if you look at the law, it requires that the unutilized amount should be paid back into the consolidated fund. But that never happened. One way, they are able to find other uses other than utilizing it for tax refund purposes for the amount. And so we have said that, okay, let us reduce it by about 33% and put it back. That will increase the amount net of the tax refund available for us to use for other things. So that is giving us a quantum 3.8 billion cedis. And that can be, that can clear the amount that we are losing from the removal of these taxes. I heard Abner suggesting that that is not enough. Look, that is not the only way that we are trying to make up for the revenue shortfall, even though that 3.8 is more than the 2 billion that we are losing from these two taxes. Apart from that, you will realize that GMPC, we have also reduced the 30% that goes to them to 15%. That is also going to free some money for us to use for other things. And Bernard, we are not limiting these actions to only these two institutions. We are sending a very strong signal to all government agencies that, look at your main objective, what you are to do. If we realize that you have too much money and so you are veering off, doing other things other than your core mandate, we will look at your laws again and see what can be done about it to bring back the money in the center for us to use it to use it optimally. So that is the signal that Dr. Atto-Forson has sent to all government agencies with this action that we have taken.
What about the point, fair enough, what about the point on the new tax for the extractives, the adjusting the growth and stabilization levy to a higher percentage? Because it seems as if those are the sources of your growth. I think the mining companies will be the ones to pay. She raised the point about that.
Yes, that is true. We have increased it from 1% to 3%. And Bernard, this is a windfall tax. The minister explained this clearly. That look, the economic rent that accrues is so much. It's about 14%, and we are taking only 1%. That is not enough. Every Ghanaian has been complaining so many years now about us not taking advantage, getting enough benefit from our extractives. And so if they are making so much profit because prices on the world market price of gold has gone up, it is just good that as a country we benefit a little more from that. And the incidence of this tax is not on the ordinary Ghanaian. You see, this was deliberately chosen. The incidence of the tax is on the mining companies, the big mining companies. So, and then you see, even subsequent to that, we have removed the 1.5% withholding tax on the one that affects the small SMEs, the small mining companies. We have removed that. So this is an opportunity for the country to make a little more from the huge profits that the mining companies are making. And I think a day or two to the presentation of the budget, the minister met with those mining companies, explained to them and appealed to them. So I don't see why our brothers and sisters on the other side will cry more for them than crying for Ghana. Because, look, it is a good call for us to take a little more from the mining companies.
Fair enough. What about
they are making so much profit.
What about Agenda 111? I think Abena also said, and I believe Famron can correct me, that she didn't hear any specific proposed allocation to finish Agenda 111, which is a major infrastructure project. Is it that it was not mentioned or we didn't hear it right?
Bernard,
Hello? Hello?
Bernard,
Yes, you are on. Yes.
am I on? Hello?
Yes, you are on.
I heard Abner saying that, if they are not asking us to finish all, if we could have at least programmed to finish 2 or 3. I mean, is it Abner of the MPP, deputy to Kenoforiata, deputy to Amin Anta, who is speaking like this? Did they know that they could have finished a few instead of starting over 111 projects scattered all over the length and breadth of this country with little resources? Did they know that would have been the best approach to go? You have started over 100 hospitals. Some are at foundation levels. Some are at lentils. That they are at different levels of construction. You know you could have used that money that you spread thinly to complete a number of them and make them functional. You didn't do it. And now you are asking us that at least we could have finished a few and make them functional for the people. I mean, what kind of double standard is this? Look, the approach of Dr. Atto-Forson in the presentation of this budget, if you followed clearly, was to leave sector details to sector ministers to come and talk about. That is why he was able to present the budget in a very short time, in about an hour and a half or so. That is the approach. So the details as to how many roads will be constructed this year, how many hospitals will be constructed, how many boreholes will be done, and all those details will be given by the various sector ministers. That is my first answer to the question.
Okay.
Secondly,
go. Okay.
I also heard her talking about taking ABFA money and all that. It is true. We have sat down and have realized that the way the ABFA is distributed, the oil fund, so the oil money is distributed, is not making us have an impactful investment with that money. And so we are consolidating it, and we are dedicating it not for goods and services. We are dedicating all the oil money for infrastructure. And that is what has been consolidated. And I mean, part of it is what the 13.85 billion that is going into the big push. In due course, you will get to know all the projects that are going to be funded under the big push. So all these details will be given to you. And so, Abner, don't worry at all. You will see that all these things will be provided to you.
So Abner, any more concerns about the budget? I asked you for your top 2, and you gave me 3. But beyond those, would you say that the budget captures the expectations of the people, and can it bring the development we want?
Yeah, Bernard, let me just speak to this before I answer your question. But the truth is that the devil is in the detail. Go into the appendices. It is not the minister, a sector minister coming to say A, B, C, or D. When you look in the appendices, you know how government intends to run the economy for 2025. And there is no way that you will find even 1 cedi or 2 cedi for the Agenda 111. We did not want to waste a pandemic. And Bernard, let me correct this notion. We did not begin 111 hospitals in one day. We looked at things. Some, we realized they were very, very important because a whole district never had any hospital. And what is wrong with utilizing a pandemic to provide health care that everybody will need in one way or the other? So that is what we did. And you go into the detail and the appendices, you see it clearly. It's not a minister coming to explain A, B, C, or D. It is not there. They did not put in numbers. And again, let me also say that the mining companies, they provide a lot of employment for us. So let's not pitch these companies against citizens, that they don't pay much. They pay royalties. They pay corporate taxes. So let's not start by pitching them against our citizens, because despite everything, they also give us so much employment, give us so much forex, and also help our economy. So if for one reason or the other, we want them to burden share, it is fine. But let's not say that they are not paying enough, and so what is wrong with taking a little more from them? They pay their taxes. unless you want to tell us that the rate of tax that has been given to them is not the corporate tax rate that they ought to pay. And so then we should come and amend the tax rates and give them the right amount to pay. But if for one reason or the other we want more from them, it is about engagement. But let's not pitch the citizens against the big mining companies.
But generally speaking, the budget has been accepted. For example, when I look at the reactions from Guta and I think Africa Education Watch on the allocation for free SHS, Imani, Franklin Kujo, the budget seems to have been generally favorably accepted by some civil society and private sector. All right. So, with the exception of the MPP that's saying that the budget was, I think they call it Azar budget, the budget generally seems to have gone down well. That's the impression I get from reading some of the headlines today.
Yes, Bernard, maybe we should take our time. It's not just the talk, but go into the numbers. Then you will see if I say something and I don't back it with funding, I have done nothing. So I think we should give ourselves some time, go into the appendices, look at, the funding that have been allocated to the various policies, and then you will come back and understand what I'm saying. If you say, your big dream is the big push of $10 billion US, and you have begun with less than $1 billion, what do you hope to achieve, or what do you intend to achieve? So within the 4 years, you may never be able to put in the 10 billion you promised Ghanaians in your manifesto. So the devil is in the detail. Let's look at the numbers and let's use the numbers to analyze that. Truly, the government says this. Yes, there's enough funding to back what he's saying. Government says he's removing this. Yes, there's the appendices tells us that yes, it's been removed. It's been this. It's been that. Let's also look at the numbers because it's not just talk.
Finally, the minister made a lot of comments about cutting wasteful expenditures, and on page 36, he spoke on selected expenditure items like Ghana Cares, U-Start, and 1D1F will be eliminated. That is not surprising to you, is it?
Bernard, U-Start, NEIP, Ghana Cares. These were initiatives that government used to support the SMEs and young people who had started their own business. And so if you want to create employment and you take out all these initiatives, then what are you telling us? Rather than putting money in some big push that we don't really have the details, why don't you support the young people? Why don't you support the SMEs through the U-Start, the Ghana Cares, and the NEIP? But rather you have chosen to take away all these things. Yet you want to create employment. You want to provide employment for the youth. How do you do that? So like I said earlier, that the numbers will tell the story. It's not just you opening your mouth and speaking, but the numbers that you have in the appendices to back what you are saying should tell the story. And all these 3 initiatives have been taken off because there's no funding for them.
Let me take Mr. Nyakwampim's reaction to this point before I come to a substantive question. So, in removing Ghana Cares, U-Start, and these projects, aren't you compromising the youth employment?
Before I come to that, I want to assure Abena that what I said did not mean that we were saying that the extractive industries are not paying anything. I made mention of the economic rent. It has gone up, and government wants to rake in a little more from that, and that is all about it. Now, we have decided that a number of programs that were being done by the previous government are not giving us the impact that we need, and so we are realigning. For instance, development authorities. We don't see why we will have those authorities doing the same things that district assemblies are doing, and then just spending on them. So we have collapsed all of them. All their projects will be given to the various assemblies because their projects are in the districts anyway, and they do the same things that the assemblies do. The assemblies can better perform those functions than development authorities. So we have collapsed all of them. Their projects will automatically go to the assemblies where the projects are. And to make sure that the assemblies get the funding to continue those projects, we are making sure that not less than 80% of DACF is transferred directly to the district assemblies. If I tell you the number of projects that have been awarded at the center and paid from the DACF, you'll be surprised. So much. And so at the end of the day, on average, less than 50% of DACF is transferred to the district assemblies. How would you buy drip equipment, grader, tipper trucks, and others for an assembly like Ayawaso West Walker, for an assembly like the one at Nima Mamobi Judge's place, was in
Ayawaso North?
They tell you that, oh, if you had allowed them, they would have used the money for something else rather than buying a grader, because that is not their priority. But some way, somehow, we decided that we will buy this for all of them and impose it on them. This is not the best use of it. So we want to deepen fiscal decentralization by ensuring that 80% or more, our statement is that not less than 80% of the funds are transferred to them so that they will be able to decide what they want to use it for. And they will use part to complete all the development authority projects that are at different stages of construction.
Okay.
In addition to that, Abna was, we are trying to create jobs for the youth. We have allocated 300 million cedis for the National Apprenticeship Program. We have that. So even though the youth start and all that we don't see clearly how it was being implemented, have been removed. We have replaced them with other programs that we believe will give maximum impact. So Abuna shouldn't worry at all. We are trying to manage the situation so that we don't, growth does not suffer a lot, because we are cutting expenditure. That will come at a cost, but we must direct the little amount we have so that we can spare growth.
Okay.
That is what this budget is.
Finally, can you clarify what Minister Forson said about 10% withholding tax on winnings from lottery, which he referred to as the betting tax? It's led to some confusion, because we know that the betting tax is different from the withholding.
Before elections, we went around campaigning to Ghanaians, especially young people, that the tax on the winnings of betting will be removed. And the Ghanaian youth were so excited about it. And they embraced this idea. Subsequent to President Mahama winning, he has committed to removing it. During the vetting of Dr. Atto-Forson and even my vetting, we reiterated that all those taxes will be removed. And true to our words, we have announced that the betting tax will go. We have also explained that the betting tax is in two forms. There is one on the companies, on their gross gaming revenue. That is 20%. That one stays. But the one to those who stake, win, and 10% is deducted, will be removed. So that if you win a bet, you get your full amount. That is what was announced, that it has been removed. I'm not too sure what Dr. Amin Anta was referring to, and I heard Abna was standing by him, hailing him that yes, we never charged it. I think she should explain exactly which one they meant. But what we talked about is what every youth who was doing betting and was being deducted knows about. And that is what we say is ended. So maybe Abna should explain to us which one they said they never implemented.
Fair enough. Honorable Abuna, can you clarify what your colleague was trying to say with the non-implementation of the betting tax?
Yeah, thank you, Bernard. Bernard, there are two kinds, like she mentioned. The one that's income tax on betting, and then there's a 10% withholding on lotteries. So the minister said they are going to remove the withholding tax on lotteries, aka betting. But that one, the 10% withholding tax on lotteries, when we passed that bill, NLA wrote to us saying that they are now trying to get the illegal lotto operators out of the system, such that if we should put a withholding tax on winnings on lotteries, people wouldn't, they wouldn't leave those banker to banker and all those other not appropriate lottery, whatever, and we will sort of destroy all the work they have done to get people on board to rather work with national lotteries and not the banker to banker and the other people. So then the minister wrote to GRA asking them to meet and have a discussion because we received the petition. So that was what he meant by saying that we did not implement that one. And the Minister of Finance, the Prime Minister of Finance mentioned that we are going to abolish the 10% withholding tax on lotteries, aka betting. So that was what he meant. Unless they bring the actual bill to Parliament for us to see the wording. But from what the minister said, the betting tax hasn't been removed. It is the withholding tax on lotteries. The withholding tax on lotteries is different from the income tax on betting. Check the Income Tax Act. It is different. So that was what Minister Amin meant by saying that we never collected the withholding tax on lotteries because we received a petition from MLA.
Fair enough. Amin also said in a Facebook post that there was the emission tax.
We want to see the wording, the amendment that they will bring to Parliament.
Good.
And in Parliament, if truly it is the betting tax they want to abolish, we will help them with the wording and make sure we do that.
Very good.
Now, from what the minister said yesterday, he said the withholding tax on lotteries, aka betting.
Okay. And I just wanted your final comments, each of you, then we close.
I want to assure Abena that the one we are removing is the popular betting tax. The details will come to the floor and they will see it. And so that is what we are removing. The one that we spoke about prior to elections, and then the one that we have consistently talked about. Bernard, I want you to let Abena and all our friends on the other side know that we are committed to fix the mess that they have created. It is surprising the quantum of arrears and all that they have left. In fact, if you look at, is Abena saying something?
No, go ahead. You are the only person on the line. Go ahead.
0.7 GDP growth.
Yeah, I'm saying that you say we call the mess, and I'm saying the mess is 5.7%.
Oh, of course. You know that the 5.7 GDP growth that we recorded last year is mainly driven by a 19.1% growth in mining, mainly Galamsey. When we say that, you don't want to hear it, but that is the truth. That is the truth, and it is also on the back of huge arrears. It is on the back of a very huge arrears. We have estimated a modest 4.4 growth that is consistent to the average over the years. Oh, Abena, do you want to finish before I come in? I can allow you to finish before I come in.
Abena, I was going to give you the last word if Thomas was done. So if you can just relax.
I can allow her to finish because
so you will finish.
Having a good conversation.
Yeah, I for some reason it's our line as well. So Abena, if you are making a point, then let's hear you now.
No, I think I've made my point that 5.7 growth rate. Clearly, the numbers can tell that it's more from the services sector. So if you say it's 90% growth rate from the mining sector, now mining is all about Galamsey and not, any other type of mining. Is that what you are saying? That it's only Galamsey that is growing this economy? How about the big and extractive industries that are also mining? Please, let's stick to the facts. And that's all I'm saying. That a 5% growth, whether it's by this or that, clearly we witnessed that and we have seen that and we've been confirmed by the Ghana Fiscal Service. Let us have a balanced view of things and work together to make sure at the end of the day the economy does well, irrespective of which government is in power. That is the most important thing for Ghana.
Thank you, Abena. Let me give Thomas the last word.
Yes, thank you. So I was making the point that if you look at the details of the growth, you see that it is skewed. Mining sector gave us the highest, 19.1, when agric and others are around 3.2 and others. So you cannot boast of this kind of growth. We have estimated 4.4 growth, and I heard them say that, oh, you say you do better, but your growth is estimated at 4.4. Yes, our estimate is consistent with the average from 2020 up to now. The average is about 3.6. We have estimated 4.4 growth. It is because we have seen what is happening, and we have to have a very practical projection. That is why you see this. And your growth is also on the back of huge arrears that we have to clear. And Bernard, 2017, read the State of the Nation, the budget statement presented by them, she and her boss, Honorable Ken Oforiatta. They lamented that we left arrears of 7 billion. Today, they have left arrears of 67.5 billion. Can you imagine? And this does not include all the amount owed by Cocoa Board, over 32 billion, ECG 68 billion, IPPs more than $1.7 billion, huge arrears. So please, it is this mess that we are talking about, this mess that we are managing to clear, so that we can put our economy back on debt sustainability. So thank you.
Thank you.
We will continue the debate on the floor.
Wonderful.
And I'm sure you will appreciate more.
Thank you very much, gentlemen and ladies. So we've been speaking to Honorable Abena Osei-Asare, MP for Itiwa East, former Minister of State for Finance, former Deputy Minister of Finance, and currently the Chair of the Public Accounts Committee, Thomas Ampem-Nyako, MP for Esuojaman, and I can say the presumptive Deputy Minister. He's been approved by Parliament. He just needs to be sworn in. So he's basically going to do that work.